great Czech Jewish writer Franz Kafka had dreams of emigrating to the land of Israel before his untimely death at age 41 from tuberculosis. But if Kafka never made it here, many of his personal papers did, brought by his best friend, Dr. Max Brod, when he arrived in Tel Aviv from Prague in 1939. Now those papers, which Brod willed to the Israel National Library, but were only fully acquired by the institution after a long legal struggle with the heirs of Brod's former secretary, are forming the basis of a new exhibit, Kafka, Metamorphosis of an Author.
It's a kind of historical obligation, I would say, and also an institutional obligation, since we are among the three leading world institutions holding most of Kafka's papers, which is the Oxford Bodleian Library, the German Literature Archive in Marbach, and us. And I think in particular due to the fact that in 2024 we commemorated the 100th anniversary, the death anniversary of Franz Kafka. That was maybe not a beautiful match, but a match that we, of course, had to use in this beautiful new venue of our library, where we are able to present all those materials in a very proper way.
The first part of the exhibit, which includes Kafka's letters, notebooks, and manuscripts, tracks his life from his struggles with his parents, his beginnings as a writer, and his inspiring but difficult relationships with such women as Felice Bauer, Dora Diamant, and Milena Jasenska. It also examines his complicated relationship with his Jewish identity, a subject of much study and debate.
I would say that Kafka clearly had a Jewish connotation. He was absolutely aware where he was coming from. I wouldn't say that this played a central and very integral role in his personal everyday life, but he paid attention to that. You can see that he was visiting Jewish circles in university. You can see that he was studying Hebrew, and actually he was a very, very ardent student of Hebrew. And you can also see that he was even visiting the Zionist Congress in 1913 in Vienna. He was a bit disappointed about it, but still he was there. He showed interest in that. And we also know for sure that by the end of his life, he was planning maybe even to immigrate to Palestine in order to live here. We know that he was too sick to come here, but all these facts, I think, illustrate that he was clearly aware about his roots and about his background.
In such famous works as The Trial, The Castle, and Metamorphosis, Kafka created a surreal view of modern existence as an unfeeling, incomprehensible, bureaucratic nightmare, a vision we today call Kafkaesque. The second part of the exhibit focuses on Kafka's influence on society and culture, including here in Israel.
I think Kafka has something to say to Israelis over generations. In the meanwhile, you see that his first works were published in Hebrew since 1945, and until today they are again and again translated into Hebrew. There are more than one editions of most of his works, so there's a readership, and of course it also influenced the Israeli artists. May it be in art, or may it be in theater, in ballet, or in cinema, and so on. So people are still trying to understand this Kafka world and to make a match between that and their everyday experience that they find here. And last but not least, we invited 8 modern Israeli illustrators to respond, and invited them to respond to Kafka's graphic work. And I think they made it in a very beautiful way and very convincingly in my eyes.
The Kafka exhibit is the first temporary exhibit presented in the New Jerusalem building of the Israel National Library, which sits right opposite the Knesset. Running until June, the library hopes it serves as both a gateway for new readers of Kafka and an affirmation of an author whose work has proven timeless a century after his death.
Still, he is one of the most important authors of modern literature and definitely of the 20th century. So people know the name Kafka, people know the word Kafkaesque, meaning something that's going on that you cannot really figure out, which has no solution, and something important is happening to you, and you don't have control on that. In order to let people know a bit more about the background of this brilliant author, who he was, where he came from, who his friends were, and so on, we are hoping that our visitors would come with an idea, a better idea of all this.